What's going on, guys? It's just me and Cliff today. We had an acoustic set at the end of October, so that's what we're going over. We discussed the differences between some of the songs on acoustic versus electric. A cover we did that the audience didn't care about at all. Some new stuff that we tried that actually went pretty great, and we talk anime a little bit towards the end. And of course, we do the song by song breakdown and rate the show. All right, guys, stay frosty. It started late, so our set ended up getting cut pretty short.
We went from like a 40-minute set to
Technically, here a 45. Oh, because we weren't going to do Nancy.
yeah. We already cut some songs, but then it ended up feeling like we played for closer to like 30 minutes. I mean, I've done like festival stuff in the past where you really didn't even have that much. Maybe you had a 15, 20-minute set, so
Yeah.
it didn't bother me at all. I do wish, had we known that it was going to be that tight, would have reworked some different stuff into the set list.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to it, but we did a cover like Blister in the Sun, and I would have cut that out to play our actual songs.
I don't remember. I remember we got a lot of really good responses to the originals, and I don't think the response to the one cover that we did was even that good.
Not really.
Like,
Not really.
Especially considering I thought we did a pretty damn good job of it. Like,
Yeah.
I thought we like killed it.
It's kind of like right in my alley vocally.
Right.
So I don't know, man.
Like we slew Blister in the Sun, and
If anything, that kind of solidified my thing of, for gig shows, we really don't do covers.
unless it's like
It's just nobody really wants it.
unless it's really reworked in our style. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't mind doing a cover if we do it like Mr. Igloo.
That's
like,
fair.
That's the thing is we killed it, but we killed it like a Violent Femmes cover band.
I would argue, with the whole band, we could probably make it work more to like what the album's gonna sound like.
Yeah,
because I want to write like a Femme style song for the album, or
if we
whether
did,
it ends up on there or not.
If we did the full thing, I imagine like, especially with Alexis, like it would be a wildly different approach.
Yeah,
because sometimes she goes like animal mode and like there's no holding her back, and I definitely see her like being really bored with just the snare.
there's hat in there in the recording too.
Sure. I guess let's start with the top. Kicking off with Offer You.
Well, first, before that, we were sound checking, and I was just like making up words and stuff during sound check.
Oh, dude, that had me in stitches. I kept like I couldn't make out everything that you were saying, but it kept on making me laugh.
I was just being silly and just, I don't know, making stuff up, and I was saying like sound check makes me sad or something like that. I wasn't trying to like troll anyone or anything like that. I was just being goofy.
I don't think anybody felt trolled, but I was
Okay,
definitely laughing about it. It was very funny.
I was just like, I think also because, we only had me and you. We didn't have the whole band, because Sam was out of town and Alexis had to work. So we didn't. It was just the two of us doing an acoustic set. I guess so. That was kind of my way of like shaking off my nerves and just, and also just like kind of being better at being more silly and fun at a show instead of like,
super serious.
Yeah, super serious and
emo
just
man.
staring at my feet. Yeah.
I guess before getting into it again, I guess kind of bringing up some thoughts that I was having before the show. So this was my first time doing like an acoustic thing.
Yeah. Ever?
Oh,
that's crazy.
Like, I, by and large, have never preferred like this about me at this point. I'm a maximalist. I'm like anything but a minimalist.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily care for like stripped down stuff. That's not like the fact that I think it's bad. It's more a feeling of terror that I get.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if I don't, whenever we have the full band, I feel like more often than not, because my job mostly in this band is textural, like
Sure.
not like yeah, sometimes I'm quote unquote like lead guitar or whatever, but I view my role as very textural. It's very just like I'm not, my gig is to just add filigree to everything, and so like whenever there's not like 3 or 4 other people on stage, I tend to start to feel pretty naked, and like because those textures are great when you have a lot of other people to fill up all the rest of the space. It's a lot harder to be that way whenever it's just 2 guys with 2 acoustic guitars.
Totally. I mean, the last time I played acoustic by myself was, I told this story just on the podcast with Billy the other day, so I won't go through it again. But it was when I had a really bad open mic as Death Lake like 10 years ago. So, so that was my last time doing acoustic. So I was also pretty nervous. But then once we had to go up and do it, I still switch into that mode of work time.
Yeah, I also think it helped that we started with like a song that we're like super
very
strong
confident.
Yeah, super
And that's also
on.
part of why, again, I was just being goofy in sound check, was to shake off my nerves a little bit.
Yeah, so it I just want to throw like the demarcation here of like they weren't performance jitters, like in the sense of like I've spent enough time on stage that I don't quite get performance jitters anymore, in the sense that like just being nervous to perform. It was jitters built around just the being out of my comfort zone of what we were doing in its entirety.
Yeah.
I mean, we basically built the entire set list in like
2 rehearsals.
Yeah,
2-ish.
It was really
3.
kind of almost like a spur of the moment thing.
Yeah.
I still felt very like,
well, plus you were out of the country and the timing was just pretty bad.
I felt like I was still improvising through half of it, just trying to find like my spots and stuff. All right, let's jump into it. Offer You.
Yeah, I mean, it's Offer You.
It's Offer You.
Yeah, we played it acoustic. I mean, I already said it's an acoustic show. I'm so out of it. Yeah, I mean, we know Offer You. We've done it so many times, and I don't know. I think
there are a lot of subtleties that are really different whenever it's an acoustic set, though. Like one thing is like the main line that I play through the verses is like totally different now.
Yeah.
Like on acoustic as opposed to the electric stuff. And like kind of one of the general things about the whole set is that everything's just more delicate, and not, you can't go as like, driving into the wall as we do with the full band. So, but yeah, I think we killed it. The exact thing that I knew was going to happen ended up happening, which is we get up to the end of the first chorus. We waited until everybody thought the song was over and started clapping, and then we just run right back into it.
Yeah.
It was like,
we should do that with the full band too.
Yeah, like wait for the applause for
Yeah.
everybody to think that it's done, and then drive back into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I dig that. That was a fun way to do that song. Yeah, I don't really have anything on that. I mean, it went fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we went into Makoko,
which is, I think, for me at least, it's the most different from the way that we play it with the full band.
Yeah, the chorus is a little tougher to sing that way, but I more or less pulled it together.
Again, kind of taking it down to like a super delicate path.
Yeah.
Some parts still get big, but I definitely like do that song totally different.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, the solo's really cool acoustic.
Yeah. Which, the scary thing about Makoko, whether it's even the way that we did it or even as a full band, is like that song is so slow and there's so much empty space.
Yeah.
That like everybody in the band has to be very responsible for their rhythmic contributions, you know, like if like it's not like one of our faster punkier songs where I can just like, well, if I get off by a hair or whatever, I can just line back up with the drums, but there's like not enough drums and bass to like
Nah, it's like a slow heavy,
yeah. So
very
that
dynamic.
that danger was even greater felt with this version that we did.
Yeah, I'm just glad I didn't mess up the bass line. I definitely thought I was gonna mess up the bass line. But I was the bassist of the band at one point, so I was like really relying on that to be my foundation.
Yeah. Cupid song.
Cupid. Yeah, then it went into Cupid. So like instead of the normal ending of Makoko, we just kind of like did that chord like very kind of dark and dreamy and open. So it faded into Makoko.
Can I talk about that real quick?
Yeah.
I
Didn't really line up.
I really like that polychord thing that we do.
Yeah.
Where you're playing the F sharp, just a power chord.
Uh-huh.
And I play the C major 7.
Oh.
Like a whole ass C major 7.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that.
On top of the F sharp power chord.
I didn't notice that.
So just to nerd out real quick, for a while I was really into the idea of polytonality. So like you've heard of like polyrhythm, right? You know, multiple rhythms played on top of each other and shit.
Yeah.
I got for a hot minute I got really into this concept of like playing in 2 keys simultaneously and crazy shit like that. It
never works out.
just you know, it's just one chord, but it's just a really cool concept that I've always had a thorough enjoyment of, because I love ambiguity. So just the idea that we were literally playing like two chords a tritone apart, and it was just so jazzy the way that it like punctuated those 2 parts in the song was so cool. And like it's one of those things of like theory working out in practice. Yeah. Where it's such a jarring sound, but the way but because it's so like momentary both times we do it, it's like the first time it's literally 2 beats, and then the second time it's just like the last chord of the song. Mm-hmm. It's so vibey that it just creates this like intense, powerful dissonance before we like, you know, rolled back into the pretty parts.
Right.
And yeah, so I just wanted to nerd out about that for a second.
I dig it. Yeah, so yeah, it kind of goes from that part into just like yeah, it goes from that part into just like we did like an acapella intro for Cupid song,
which
I've never
again
done before.
Just it like bringing back to this minimalist idea, I thought was very brave of you. Yeah, I'm terrified of acapella.
Yeah,
like
I mean, normally I would be too, but I'm very much hitting a I care more about making this thing work than embarrassing myself at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm really hitting like a threshold with that. So, and it's a good thing. It's not obviously it's definitely a good thing.
And I guess another thing would be like, it's not like you're trying to do like Carry On My Wayward Son or some shit. Like,
no, yeah. I mean, no, yeah. I'm not trying to do, or what's the song from Armageddon by Aerosmith? I never want to do it again, 'cause even when I try, yeah.
Yeah, but like cold opens in acapella, like for anybody who doesn't do music, cold opens with acapella is really difficult if you don't have like perfect pitch, because you're essentially like, you know, like unless you have a guide tone at the beginning, which I didn't give you and you didn't give yourself, you literally just like
I hit the C.
Oh, okay.
I hit the D very, very lightly. Like,
oh, okay. Well, then I didn't.
I did it like a very gentle strum, just enough that, you know, I could hear it and you could. It's that kind of. Sometimes I'll say like, you know, there's things where it's like I don't really need you to hear it, but I need you to feel it.
Right.
you know, and I got it enough that like, you know, I don't know if I heard it or I just kind of keyed into the
Sure.
the vibration of the tone or whatever.
Well, then that destroys my entire fucking point because I was gonna say that's like one of the hardest things to do is go into an acapella, which is supposed to be followed up by instrumental music, not ever really knowing if you're gonna hit like if you're gonna have to like go up another half step once we
Yeah.
actually start playing.
Well, plus for the album, whether it ends up on there, we already have an a cappella version of. I took a song of Billy's that's called "Song About Something," and I changed it to "Song About Nothing" and made
Right.
it kind of, you know, more sad lyrically.
Sure.
And it's just the chorus, and that's a cappella. So at some point, you know,
Yeah, but
we're gonna have to do that on stage. So that's why I'm like, let's pull the
sure,
plug.
but I think the trick about that is that you've already like at that point you're already in the progression.
Yeah.
It's all I'm saying.
There's what do you mean?
It's the cold open that's
Oh.
what I'm saying is the hard part. Like I can do an acapella as a dropout in the middle of a song. I can't do an acapella as
No, the song about nothing it's just an acapella only, like one chorus. It's like an interlude.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it would be. I mean, it would be a cold everything. there's no, you know, there's no music at all in it.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'd say that's even easier then because with only the need to just get into key with the other singers,
Yeah,
then like there's your guide.
yeah.
You know.
We'll get like a little harmonica. That would actually be pretty funny for something like that. Is to be like a quartet.
Like a little
Have the little harmonica.
have everybody with a pitch pipe.
Yeah, pitch pipe.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Harmonica.
I mean, it's the same thing. It like works the exact same way. The
Yeah.
reeds and whatever. I don't know. I'm dumb. Walrus.
The solo is kind of I would have to kind of like work on the solo for acoustic. If I was recording an acoustic version, I would do the solo on piano. That would be that's going to really kind of give you the kind, you know, with the sustain on the piano and everything. It's going to really give you the tone and the juice that you want for that.
Are you imagining like a pristine like grand piano sound or more like the detunedy like honky tonk?
Probably more like just like your piano.
Okay.
You know, that's like, you know, it's in tune enough that it sounds good on a recording.
I mean, it's not like you hit an F and it makes the sound of a D. You know, it's in tune. It's just got that very warbly, chorusy,
Yeah.
you know, kind of vibe from the strings just not being perfectly in tune.
Yeah.
Which I like. I'm a big fan.
It sounds
like I like that for like textural things. If I want like a super clean piano, my parents have an actual baby grand that I could just go and make noise on.
Word. Keep that in mind for the album.
Also, my good friend has a grand in his house too, and
Because I'd like to do Mammoth real piano.
yeah,
I'd like to keep the album real.
yeah, I've got plenty of options for that.
Okay. But yeah, that's my only thing on Walrus being acoustic is the solos at the beginning are a little weird.
I will say this for Walrus, working it out acoustically ended up giving me a much easier way to do the bridge.
Sure.
That I now do whenever we do like the full band stuff. So like part of setting everything up for the acoustic show for me has just been like, oh, like I can actually take this back to the way that we do it, like with the full ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
So that ended up being, you know, super useful.
Yeah, people dug the bridge. I saw, I got a video from
lots
one
of
the bands.
butts wiggling out in the crowd.
Yeah, and they were just, when that part hit, there were just people going like, whoa.
Yeah. That was always kind of the point.
I said
of that
it more
part.
excited than I just said it, but
that's kind of always the point of that part. Is it's the whoa of the song.
Yeah,
like
it flips.
It's a rhythmic change up. It's meant to be like super, like I've said it a million times. It's just aping the Andy sound from the Police.
It's
like,
that, but there's also a bounce to it that the Police doesn't
sure
have.
just because
It's
you know
a more
we
dance
don't
element.
we don't have the rhythm section of the Police.
Yeah, you can still feel it in the acoustic.
Sure, yeah.
You can still feel it. They felt it.
I'm a huge Stuart Copeland fan. Like the rest of the Police are great, but I just love him.
Yeah.
And so I have aped the Police guitar tones or drum sounds a couple of times.
Yeah. All right. And then freaking Always Impatient.
I fucked that song
I
up.
fucked up right at the beginning because my hands started playing the bridge or the post-chorus rhythm, but I was, on a verse.
That I didn't notice.
I literally said, "You think I know how to play the new song?" That's literally I said that.
Oh yeah, I do. Remember.
I just owned it and acknowledged it because that's funnier than being like, oh.
Yeah, no, I got you. I didn't play the post chorus to that song right once.
I didn't
during the entire.
I didn't notice. I think you still played it in key.
No, I didn't.
Oh no,
I hit a lot of wrong notes.
Oh okay, I couldn't tell.
Well, again, I just know that if I'm not comfortable with the part or if I'm like just missing something, I just know to back off.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Like so I would like run into. I mean, I got the solo, and that was the important part. That was like the whole reason you brought me along for that song. Was to play the solo.
Sure.
So I got that part right, but I didn't play any of the other parts well.
Fair enough. I didn't notice at all. I mean, I usually notice if then there's like a full on sour note.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, whatever. Yeah, but I mean, I think otherwise that song seemed to be well received by people, though.
Oh yeah, I'd love to do it more. I just need to not learn it the day of the show.
Well, yeah. Then we did Blister in the Sun. And both these songs we did in standard too.
Did we say this before we started recording? We killed Blister in the Sun. Like
we did great on Blister in the Sun. Yeah, nobody was really into it.
We absolutely killed it, and nobody liked it.
Yeah.
Like it was one of the tightest songs that we did.
Yeah, I thought we killed it.
I guess we didn't get enough of the. You should have been clapping on the.
Yeah, but I have terrible rhythm.
I will say this. It is, at least as far as what they've done to the interior.
It looks way cooler.
It is way nicer now than it was back in the day.
I dig it.
It's way more. It feels. Back then, it was like just a like old school metalhead chop shop, right?
Yeah.
Now it feels like a VIP club. Like
it does actually. I do. It has like a speakeasy kind of vibe.
It's still small. And
I felt like we could have just done the show and talked about politics the whole time. Be like, dude, they need
Nowhereland, you hit it so hard vocally later in the song, and I think that's what like always gives everybody like the shivers.
Yeah.
So like that one still got like an awesome reception.
Okay.
Like I remember everybody like freaked out over that one, especially when you hit it really hard towards like the last third of the song.
Yeah. Yeah, I like doing that song, especially now that I finally have that third lyric.
That was another one that I felt really because we've played that song before, but it left the set list for like almost a year before we started bringing it back again. And
for like 8 months, somewhere around that.
And like, so I was kind of like, well, shoot, I gotta like relearn this thing from the ground up.
It's a pretty easy tune.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. Plus, I wrote the other part because it was always kind of like a rhythm and harmony kind of song.
But that being said, for having basically again learned it practically the day of the show, I felt like I nailed what I was doing for it.
I like it. I want to do another take of the solo at some point soon.
Sure. I mean, I literally crapped that out, and
the recording we got is a little sharp, and also I have a video of the original one you did.
Just auto-tune the guitar, bro.
No. I don't. I'm not gonna say that I wouldn't do that for the appropriate effect when necessary.
I've done like hard tuning on guitar, and it sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've also tuned a note on an instrument here and there where I need to.
No, I'm just saying like the straight up like the T-Pain effect, but on like lead guitar. It
Yeah.
sounds wild.
Yeah.
Especially like throw like a lot of bends in there and stuff, and it starts like catching on all these different like it's awesome. Point is, we need to auto tune more guitar solos.
Yeah.
Not like us and Mr. Igloo, like us as humanity.
All right. Well, then in Nowhereland we did skip like the bridge, and you just played another solo.
Yeah, but that was again a conversation that we had leading up to it about how much that bridge is an electric bridge.
Yeah.
And like it's such a noise rocky thing that
We gotta kind of work on that then, and kind of make it not an electric bridge. You know, we could take it up octaves. And do it,
like
we just need to kind of break down like what's happening in there.
It was more of a
musically and
time
melodically.
constraint thing than it was like a necessity thing. Like if we had months to prepare for this thing,
Yeah,
as
because acoustic we could make that bridge very like math rocky.
yeah, sure.
Midwestern emo.
I would never have a problem with that. It's just when in doubt, if the show's coming up and you've got to get all this shit worked out, it's just easier to cut than it is to change.
Yeah, I know. I agree. That's why we did it. And then we went into Cornelia.
Easy song.
Yeah, I think that one went fine.
Easy song. I definitely like the bridge of that one, acoustic, a lot more than the electric version because it brings out like the sparkliness.
It has a different energy.
Yeah,
I think it'll still. I think I think in a real acoustic version, it would take. We'll kind of even bring that out more.
right.
Because the other, the acoustic version I want to make is gonna be much more twinkly.
Yeah,
Than,
but that's definitely
kind of
like,
did a little pop punky.
yeah, but that's definitely one of the songs where like when we get into that bridge, I definitely feel like the Midwest elements of the band really come out
Sure.
whenever we did that acoustic.
And then we were right when this is when we were gonna cut "Blue Is All I See," and then,
While we were doing that,
and while we were about to cut it, somebody walked up and told us we had one more song.
so we skipped "Blue Is All I See," Nancy Thompson.
I didn't
Billie
really even
Holiday.
realize I forgot about Billie Holiday when you said that. Well, let's do like even when you said to me, I think on stage like let's do Billy. My brain wasn't even really assessing like Billy. Like oh yeah, we should probably do like Billie Holiday over Mr. Igloo. The
Yeah, I
song that's
mean,
out. My bad.
Well, I get what your point. Like, okay, so
To me, Mr. Igloo is always like the flag. It's like the song we always play that isn't out.
right.
So I don't know. I always like that aspect of it.
Well, it's the classic thing of like, it's like, the song Black Sabbath off of the album Black Sabbath by the band Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Like it's the whole thing of like, if you're a band, write a song that is the name of your band.
Yeah.
Because
The album's not going to be self-titled though.
no, that's fine. but I've done this in other projects too. I've played in other bands where the band has a song that is the name of the band.
Yeah.
And my point being is that if you're a band, no matter what kind of band you're in, write a song that is the name of your band. Because nobody can remember fucking band names ever. But everybody laughs about the idea of a song that is also the band name and an album that is also a band name all at the same time.
Yeah.
Like everybody laughs at that, and it will always stick in people's heads. I mean, the joke, the song Black Sabbath by the band Black Sabbath on the album Black Sabbath has been repeated for like half a century now.
Yeah.
So like it works. It gets people into what you're doing.
There's enough versions of Mr. Igloo that we can do the same thing and just make an EP of Mr. Igloo by Mr. Igloo on Mr. Igloo EP.
Yeah, I mean,
And
when
there's multiple Mr. Igloos.
when
on there.
Weezer has like 6 self-titled albums, like there's no reason for us not to just like put out.
But they haven't written a song called Weezer.
That's my point.
Get on it, Rivers.
Yeah. Come on. Every band should have a song titled
I'll
after
write
the
it
band.
with you.
So yeah, we just jumped straight into Mr. Igloo, which I think is the most Midwesty emo song that we do, especially again translated acoustically. I definitely feel like that was the one that like I had like 4 people come up to me and be like, yo, I really liked the Midwesty
Yeah,
things that
everybody
you did.
people were saying that to me too.
Yeah, and so like I definitely feel like the song Mr. Igloo has that in spades, at least in the verses.
Yeah, 100%. The verses, it could probably come out maybe even more in the bridge as we work on it. Since that's kind of pointed out to me now, that's kind of something to workshop. I like the bridges keeps getting better.
You know, I almost did this. I didn't do it, but you know, like whenever you do like the acapella thing, I almost did this like just because I thought it would have been hilarious. I almost did the Weezer lick, like going back into the.
Oh,
The-
from Buddy
yeah,
Holly.
yeah.
Oh, that would have been funny right there.
I almost did it. I almost pulled the trigger, but I was like, nope, we didn't rehearse it like this.
No,
I'm not gonna piss Alex off like
It
that.
wouldn't. It wouldn't have made that would have made me laugh because it's Weezer.
But I almost did it.
It would be. It would have been. What would have been really funny is if we figured out how to move into Buddy Holly or something like that. One thing that could be also just for laughs be funny. I used to have a version of "Creep" by Radiohead that when it goes she run Roxanne, you don't have to put on the red light. Yeah, that could be really
dumb.
funny. I'd love to bring that back. But yeah, Mr. Igloo went pretty well. I almost messed up a couple times, but I didn't. I think I mixed up one chord, but it was with its relative minor. So
I guess as a wrap up, how'd you feel about the show overall?
My favorite part
Okay.
was beforehand eating that chicken in the parking lot
Oh my God.
because it was really good.
What was the name of that truck?
I think it was called Chicken Heads.
Chicken Heads. We love your chicken, man. That was awesome.
It was really good.
That was some delicious chicken.
Yeah, it was super juicy. And yeah, the fries were really good too. I only ate a couple from you guys, but
So yeah.
And I was watching, sorry. And I was also, because it was such a long, like, it was just like a 7 o'clock load in and then 8 o'clock sound check. So I was just watching like the newest episode of Loki on my phone outside while just like waiting for all this to get going. So rate the show. You know, considering songs got cut and stuff like that. So that kind of slides the scale a little bit because
Right.
there was less songs to pick up. So considering that, I mean, I'd probably put it higher than I normally put it, like a 7 or an 8, honestly. It actually, to me, sounded really good. And the sound was really good, by the way.
Yeah.
the sound.
I still hate the sound of my guitar DI, but that's on me. Just because of how much I screwed up, especially on. I said the name and now I forgot. Just because of how much
Always
I screwed
Impatient?
up on Always Impatient, yeah. That I'm gonna deduct like a full point. And just how like based off of like reception alone for
Mhm.
like all of the original songs that we did, I would say I would agree like a 7 or an 8. Like that was pretty good reception considering how itsy bitsy the crowd was and how like people like dug us. Like it was awesome.
Yeah.
But in terms of my performance, 5 or a 6.
All right.
Like maybe a 4. Like taking into account, like we'll call it a straight 5 because taking into account how like unprepared we felt going into it, or at least I felt, like, you know, playing basically like this is just a thing about being a musician is like sometimes you show up to the gig and it's like, you know, you just aren't as prepared as you could be, and it's not like there's an easy way to prepare to that level beforehand because it kind of relies on like how much free time we both have between like other gigs and shit. So
Yeah.
like I went into it a little frustrated just with how like rough I knew it was going to be,
Sure.
or I felt it was going to be. So I guess it kind of became like a self-fulfilling prophecy for me.
Sure.
But like everything else, the more we do it, the easier it's gonna get, and and like now that we have that batch of songs, like we can do it more, right?
Yeah.
Like now that we know we're solid on that batch, like we can fill in, a couple more, gigs every month, just
Yeah.
you and me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's always, it's like going into work and only half the staff is there.
Yeah.
It's nice to have the whole team and the whole, everybody supports everybody.
Understaffed and overworked. Any final thoughts?
Alexis, last time I didn't do this with Billy, but she added the segment of vibe check.
Some people weren't liking it.
So how was the vibe?
Vibe check? Man, the vibe was chill AF.
Yeah, you were getting along. We were talking nerd stuff with the bartenders.
Yeah, I was talking about anime with the bartenders.
I was so uninterested. I was actually watching baseball. Baseball was more interesting to me than anime.
Admittedly, he said his favorite anime was Naruto, and
that's like a step above my favorite being Dragon Ball Z.
Right, like those are like the favorite anime for people who don't watch anime.
Yeah, exactly. I know who I am.
Yeah,
I know I don't watch anime, so that's why my favorites are Dragon Ball and Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, okay, Cowboy Bebop is a legitimate response. People can say Cowboy Bebop's their favorite, and that's okay.
I like Attack on Titan. I haven't started watching it again. I've been watching other stuff.
How far have you gotten in it?
I'm somewhere in the first season.
Oh, okay, so
Almost
you haven't
in the
even gotten
second,
to where
probably.
like it gets like really fucking crazy.
No.
Because I ended off on like the end of season 2.
Yeah.
And like things were starting to really amp up at that point. I like Attack on Titan.
I dig it.
It's good. The opening theme song is like one of the best ever.
Yeah. I'm just somebody that like I'm always gonna mostly lean towards live action, whatever's happening in live action before.
I got you.
Minus Star Wars and Star Trek.
The reason I'm into anime, I don't know if I ever told you this. I majored in animation for a while.
Oh, word. That makes sense.
For a year before I switched over to music. And it was I've always been obsessed with cartoons, from like old school like Tom and Jerry and Scooby Doo. Like the thing that blew my mind about Tom and Jerry, to this day blows my mind, is so like, they would score the music to the action on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like a lot of times you're hearing the music being performed like while the cartoon was played up on a big projector screen, and they were playing the music to it, and that's how they were recording it. That was genius to me as a kid. I was like, how could you possibly, right? That's so like that level of timing and how like making it comedic, and like how tight those musicians was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Scooby Doo taught me all about like technique. Like through like watching like behind the scenes stuff on Scooby Doo, I learned about like cell animation, of how they would have like did you ever notice in Scooby Doo they have like scrolling backgrounds? Like where it's just like repeats over and over and over again. So they would take like, it was like a treadmill kind of thing of like just a roll of paper with the art painted onto it, and then the characters were done as like vinyl like cells that they would put the character like on take a picture for the frame, and then take that character off, scroll the background a little bit, and then put the next frame on. And so that's how they would have like someone walking through a hallway.
Yeah.
And like I literally learned about animation, like those like cost saving measures that Hanna-Barbera and the like used because of Scooby-Doo behind the scenes. I'm not explaining it very well because we're exhausted.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I got you.
But so that started my obsession with it. So getting into anime was not here's why I got into anime. The Simpsons cartoon cost like tens of millions of dollars to make, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's Simpsons. It looks okay, The same year, I'm not gonna remember what it was called, but there was an anime movie that came out that was made for a fraction of the money, like, a few million yen, which like it's 100 yen to the dollar about,
Yeah.
So like when I realized how much more efficient and how much like better work Japanese studios put out for less money than what it takes American studios to do, that's when I got a real interest in it.
Yeah.
Like you, I grew up on DBZ and all the stuff that we grew up on, DBZ, Cowboy Bebop, Sailor Moon, and all that shit. It wasn't until I realized how like different the technical approach to animation was in anime that I became really obsessed with it, because I became more obsessed with the workflow of how are they making like feature-length films for like a quarter to an eighth of what it's costing Americans to produce, and the quality beats us out by several fold.
Yeah.
Like the quality of animation is massively higher. And so that's when I really became obsessed with it. So I didn't really get into anime until I was a fully fledged adult and I was like learning how to make this stuff.
Yeah. All right.
So anyway, there's my diatribe of the day.
Well, I'd say the vibe was all right. It was cool.
Yeah, I totally forgot we were still talking about a show.
Yeah. Would have liked to have done something close to the full set, but it's what it is. Yeah. What do we usually do at the end? What's that noise thing we do?
But up.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. Count it.
1, 2, 3.
But up.
Just 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
But up.
Just a reminder, we do have a new single out called Always Impatient that does feature Billy Bacci on lead vocals and piano. Thank you for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment and hit the notifications. And while you're here, check out some of these other videos, like that one up there, and that one down there, and that one over there. Stay frosty.